We were able to ask President Trump about a new superpower joining the fight alongside Iran in epic fury. Mr. President Trump, it seems that the Russians are helping Iran identify and attack Americans now.
That's a simple problem compared to what we're facing here. But can I be honest? It's just that I have a lot of respect for you. You've always been very kind to me. What a stupid question to ask. Right now, we're talking about something else. Can we keep it that way, maybe just a little?
And just a few minutes ago, the Iranians confirmed that Russia is helping.
Are you by any chance receiving any kind of help from Russia?
Well, we have a very solid strategic partnership with Russia.
So that's a yes.
Well, military cooperation between Iran and Russia is not something new. It's no secret. It existed in the past, it still exists, and it will continue in the future.
General David Petraeus, 4 estrelas da reserva.
What should President Trump do about this?
Well, he should ask Congress to pass the sanctions bill that's in the Senate. Senator Lindsey Graham led the effort, very close to President Trump. Of course, he has the support of more than 90 out of 100 senators. It would be a very strong signal to Russia, and it would complement what the European Union has done, which has also been very impressive in this regard. And I think it's long overdue to impose sanctions on Russia, especially now that apparently they are providing intelligence which is so important for the accuracy of Iran's attacks. They don't have the kind of intelligence that Russia can share with them and apparently is sharing. That explains part of the accuracy of the missiles and drone attacks.
Operation Epic Fury has been going on for over a week. We saw an unprecedented Pentagon strategy in which the IEI reverse-engineered some lethal Iranian drones. Listen to this.
You always hear this. We shot down a $50,000 drone with a $2 million missile. Lately, we've been shooting down a lot. $100,000 drones with $10,000 weapons from our company. That's one point, but Lucas, it's indispensable. As many of you know, and if you don't, this was originally an Iranian drone project. We captured it, took it apart, sent it to America, put a made-in-America touch on it, and brought it back here.
General, how often do the United States Armed Forces reverse engineer a weapon to use it against the people who invented it?
I think it's pretty rare, certainly. We've already taken weapons from different battlefields around the world and analyzed what they're made of, what their capabilities are, what their vulnerabilities are, so that we can develop weapons to deal with that. You know, we've brought tanks, combat vehicles, infantry vehicles, and others over the years. Notably, no, I'm not aware of anything like that in the past to then use it against the same enemy. But we must also learn without a doubt from what the Ukrainians did, something truly spectacular on a larger scale than ours. When I was there last time, about 4 weeks ago, they told me they will produce about 7 million drones this year. I believe we will produce 400 or 500,000 units. The scale of what they do, the capacity they have, and the low cost are valuable lessons.
Those numbers are impressive. Another thing, we know there's a campaign going on. There may also be ground troops soon in Iran, according to President Trump, on board Air Force One last night.
There could be, possibly for a good reason. It would have to be a good reason. And I would say that if we did that, they would be decimated. They wouldn't be able to fight on the ground.
This morning, new reports have emerged from various sources that the president is considering intervening and protecting some uranium facilities, possibly unprotected. What do you think? Should the president send ground troops to Iran?
Well, what I think is that he shouldn't rule them out, and I think he's been right. I believe previous presidents prematurely ruled out several options that we should have kept open, at least in the mind of the enemy. I think he will be very careful when making that decision and cautious in carrying out whatever is done. It's possible that you'll find sneakers on the floor, some members of my organization helping the opposition, maybe something special. Special Operations Forces members won't be on the front lines, serving as advisory and support elements. There have been rumors about the capture of Karg Island, which is the main oil export site. just offshore, right in the Gulf. And again, the report you mentioned about protecting the uranium, I suspect that the massive ordnance penetrator would probably eliminate the need for that. We have the 30,000-pound precision munition, and we have a plane that can drop it there. But I'm sure he will consider that carefully, noting the challenges of ground troops in the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Thank you.
And from what it seems, according to the president, the top two levels of Iranian leadership have been eliminated. Now, there are also several Iranian mini-command posts scattered throughout the country. The Wall Street Journal calls this a mosaic. This is part of their article. It says, the plan includes implementing what's called a Mosaic defense, a decentralized approach that allows commanders to keep fighting even when they're cut off from their superiors. You've been studying wars in the Middle East for a long time. Does this kind of Mosaic defense that the Iranians are using really hold up well? Really?
Absolutely. You're talking about the strength of the entire regime. That includes the Revolutionary Guard, the Basij militia, the National Police, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and the Marines. These are 1 million armed men who showed their willingness to kill citizens by the thousands in January during the protests. And they've made that very clear from the beginning since we eliminated the senior leadership and their command and communication centers. It became very clear that there was a significant delegation of authority, a decentralization, as you said, to various mid-level and lower-level leaders to continue the fight with the resources they had at hand at that moment. And of course, what we've been doing is trying to target the missile launchers and the missile depots in particular, and then we'll attack the factories as well as now the drones. We've had a lot of success against the missiles. The launches have decreased by about 90%, but there are still some. The drones have been more stable, and that's been problematic, even though several countries in the region, especially the UAE, have fought them impressively, shooting them down with short-range, low-cost air defense systems instead of interceptors. Patriot isn't good.
General Petraeus, my last question. It seems that the first parts of Epic Fury were a success. Overall, a great success for the United States. Looking at this, what is your biggest concern for the coming weeks?
Well, I think President Trump captured this well when I thought he was straightforward in stating that the worst outcome would be the survival of the regime and another cleric, an ideological hardliner, taking Khamenei's place. That would be problematic. It would mean we would see this again, maybe repeatedly. It's a considerable challenge for a region whose hallmark is security, excellent infrastructure, and opportunities. I think that's a major concern. In fact, there are other secondary, non-trivial concerns, like the price of oil. We're keeping an eye on Brent. It's already surpassed $93 per barrel. It was in the low 60s before all of this started. It could go even higher if the market sensed total freedom of navigation in the Gulf, Hormuz, and Bab el-Mandeb, where the Houthis and militants are disrupting operations. And we think this could happen again. I mean, this could be problematic. Well, I believe it all comes down to how well we achieve the military objectives. Noting that it's not the military's job to promote regime change, it's the military's job to create the conditions for a political transition to occur if there is enough internal opposition to the regime. But again, remembering that this regime has almost 1 million armed men, you would need a considerable force, armed people, organized, capable, and well-led to confront it. I believe that's why most analysts today think that the baseline scenario is the survival of the regime. The question is, what kind of supreme leader will he be? Will he be somewhat pragmatic or not? And if he's not, then tough times will certainly come.
General David Petraeus, excellent. Thank you for setting up the next topic. Thank you very much for being at the Sunday briefing.
Thank you.